Hello and welcome to the Ring It On podcast. I am Jordan from Exo Sounds. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, we're going to do something different for the first time. We're going to do a solo bolo, me on Malono, doing a Q&A episode to finish off this season of the Ring It On podcast, the Tassie Wedding podcast, talking to all the vendors and things like that. We've had a great one. We've talked to lots of photographers and we've had stationery people and we've had celebrants and we've had a lot of fun and I really love doing the show. But I'm just going to take a little bit of time off to bank up some more episodes and do all that. So we're going to try a Q&A episode today. So we asked the internet to submit some questions. Now keep in mind, first and foremost, I don't know anything. As in, my opinion is just my opinion and I don't care. Like, just be a nice person, be kind and enjoy your day, do whatever you want. So take it all with a grain of salt. I do have kind of a unique position in the sense that I am there on weddings from the start, before guests arrive, till the end, 80 plus times a year. So I do get to see it all, but that doesn't mean anything. So just know that whatever I say, it could be right, it could be wrong, and just do what you got to do and enjoy your day. Because if you don't enjoy your day, it's a very bloody expensive thing to do to not enjoy your day. So take it all with a grain of salt. We asked the internet for questions, and the internet doth provide. So we're going to go through some of those and we'll just see. We'll just see if this works. A Q&A episode in the season. It's my buddy Wesley. He's hanging out. So let's get into it. So let's start with something easy and fun. Was a good one. I had a client write in and say, do you think it's okay to ask your friends or guests to help out on your wedding day? I'm guessing these people probably don't have a wedding coordinator. And they're trying to probably cut costs which is fine, which is a good thing to do. And there are certain areas in which you can kind of get away with that. So I guess, ask the right people to do the things. Like, ask the right person to be, the clipboard warrior. We had a clipboard warrior at my wedding because she is a clipboard warrior. She is a spreadsheet clipboard warrior. And she did an amazing job. Just making sure it was all done, essentially doing what a wedding coordinator would do on the day. But she was a friend and she loved having that job. I guess I have seen it go awry quite a bit where, when somebody really isn't in charge of overseeing the whole thing, people do forget to take things certain places. Like the other day, somebody forgot the confetti cannons because they left them back at their house. That was their one job and they fucked it up. So, You see what I'm getting at. I mean, and there's also a difference between a favour and a job. Don't get Uncle Clark to run the bar for 100 people if that means constantly filling ice, constantly cleaning glass. That's not fun. The guests need to be guests too. I, as a guest personally, don't mind being asked to do things. I quite enjoy it because I don't really know how to behave at a wedding when I'm not working at it, if that makes any sense. I'm used to doing stuff and moving things and thinking 10 steps ahead and blah, blah, blah. So, but of course you can ask your friends to do stuff. There's just some risks involved. Ask the right person. And if it really matters, hire somebody to do it. And if it doesn't matter that much, just, ask the right person, I would say. You know what I mean? What else we got here? Off-season discounts from Blue Wren Weddings. Do you believe in off-season discounts? Yeah, I believe in working. I don't care. If you're free and can get a wedding by being cheaper, be cheaper. Do whatever you want. I firmly believe in off-season discounts. If someone asks, I'm going to give them a discount because I want to be working if I'm free. Thankfully, we're booked up a lot and we don't just automatically drop the price for the off season. It's not an incentive that we would advertise. Let's put it that way. It's not something I'm going to say, hey, everybody, we're cheaper for these months. But if somebody comes in and it's down the road and it's on a Friday in August, July, I'm going to do everything I can to get that gig. And if I think my price point is problematic, or not competitive, let's say, like my price point might be very competitive in March or February 20 next year when there's already 9 running, that's a bit different. than the price point when they can choose anybody essentially on, July 11. So, yeah, so I do believe in them. I believe in working. I don't think there's any rules. I think you've made up that price that you are anyway. It's not like you've shipped it in through the Strait of Hormuz. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you've gotten from a Chinese factory to this, and that's already cost all this. It's like you're a human, and it's your time, and yeah. If you want to be cheaper, be cheaper. If you want the work, and if you don't need the work, then live your life. Does that make any sense? Oh, it's windy today. It's all kicking off. Okay. I hope this is helping. Is this helping? I don't know. I'm just going to keep going. From Omar at By the Wild, legend, love you, buddy. Do you still use SEO, and is it actually worth it these days? Great question. So I was obviously a company called Over on Lane for 8 years, and we sold that in January 2025 and had to rebrand. So within that process, I was happy to do the rebranding because I thought that Tassie would be way more achievable for me to spread the word that I had a new name and send a few emails out, do a few weddings, and it was harder work than we thought, but it wasn't an impossible task because, again, it's a very, close community down here, word spreads, people book people. So I think if I was in a bigger market in New South Wales, SEO would be something I'd still do. But again, it's the right SEO, isn't it? Like, essentially with AI these days, you can kind of put, your website or pages from your website into SEO, into, whatever, agent you use and say, can you optimize this for SEO? How would you improve it? So we've definitely done that, but we do not have a paid SEO anymore. We just did that to get the new brand up and running. And no, I don't really think you need it anymore. I just think, if inquiries are coming in, I think inquiries come through so many places these days that to say that SEO, if you're getting more inquiries from Instagram than Google, then I don't think SEO is going to help you. If you want to improve your Google rankings and stuff like that, yes, SEO can give you a helping hand, but it's also backlinks and stuff like that. And fundamentally, I think we all know there are people out there that can hack it, good or bad. So yeah, no, we don't use one. And is it worth it? Well, maybe, but also just do a good job. Get your Instagram pumping, have content. Content sucks, but that's what it is. That's why I'm here doing this. You know what I mean? And then there's a follow-up from somebody else who asked it, Meta Verified, is it worth doing it? No fucking idea. I've got it. I pay for it. Don't fucking know. Again, this was a lot of stuff that came when we were setting up the new brand. Because we essentially had to convince people quite quickly that we were legit. So we kind of had to do everything we could to say that, remember that we were that company that had done 10,000 weddings and now we've got a different name? So SEO and Meta Verified and all that dumb stuff, we just kind of hit, and, we don't do SEO anymore. But we do Meta Verified. The shittest thing about SEO is that we had to kind of sacrifice a few pages on the website and make them uglier than we'd like and make them have more writing than we'd like just to get Google to scan it and go, oh yeah, these guys are about weddings in Tasmania. So that's a bummer. Anyway, we'll move on. DJ Knickknacks. Do you like DJ Knickknacks? Like, I think they're talking about the the foam things or glasses and stuff, or do they hurt the vibe? I love them. I don't love the sticks because everyone just hits Gus with them. But I think giving some people something to do with their hands is great. Like, I like lights too. It gives you a bit of I'm not here, masks. That's why I think photo booths hate being set up too close to the DJ decks. Everyone goes and raids all the props and then comes out on the dance floor with them. But they make for the better photos. They make for, knickknacks are great. Give something people to do with their hands. The best one I've ever seen was a life-size cutout of Taylor Swift and or a life-size cutout of a dog. It was on the dance floor all night, people dancing with this cutout of Taylor Swift and up on the shoulder. It was just fun. It was dumb. And it's great. And that's awesome. Anything to increase the vibe. Essentially, you think of it like a concert you go to, Coldplay or something. They've got the wristbands on the arms, which I've now seen you can do that too. Super cool. LED wristbands for everybody, kind of like a slap band thing that kind of light up. You've got the sticks, balloons, whatever. It's all fun. Get it out there. Don't hit Gus or me. But you know what I'm saying. Okay, from what's a who, but MC again. This is more of a client one actually. Does your MC need to be funny? No, especially if they're fucking not funny and they think they're funny. There is a massive difference between what the MC role is there for and what they're actually trying to do, and stand-up comedy. So you can have the funniest bloke you've ever known sitting around the campfire, Uncle Greg or whatever you want to call it. But that person is not necessarily the person you want on the microphone all night. You kind of want somebody to keep things on track. You kind of want somebody to get off the microphone, you know? You want somebody who's going to be lively and enthusiastic and in the mood for the night and understanding. You don't want to need a Debbie Downer on there just because you wanted her to be involved in the wedding. You want somebody who's comfy on a mic, who is casual and light and fun. But do you need them to be funny? God, no. They really don't need to say that much if you can help it. So I wouldn't be searching, unless, of course, if you've got someone who's just banging on the mic and knows all the backstories and is going to absolutely crush, then get them on the mic. But do they need to be funny? And God, no. I've got a funny one here actually from one of my dearies who goes, "Do you have a favourite venue or coordinator?" And yes, I do. And we'll leave that there. Venues are great. All of them are great. Cool. Okay. Asking guests for help. What about timeline philosophy? This is from the wonderful celebrant Emma Rose Weddings. What's your take on how a wedding day timeline should run, especially when you're there all day? Right. So I'm there all day. I don't think that longer is better. I think if you've listened to any episode, you'll hear that. It's not just because I want to go home. Again, keep in mind that all my opinions are dumb and skewed because I am a vendor that has a different view on things. But like, longer is better, you know, that's just not true. Things change, vibes change, people get tired. A good tight 4 to 11 is awesome. You know, a 3:30 to 10:30 is even better because I think people get drunker later and chaos ensues. One of the best timelines I've ever seen is a 10 o'clock finish with an after party organised and the bus. Because what that meant is they could all get into the after party and the people that wanted to be done at 10 were done. And so you didn't have this kind of bad vibe people that were over the day kind of hanging around. And then there's this crew that wanted to kick on till 2 a.m. So that was one of the coolest things I've seen. As far as flow of day, you know, ceremony is normally about half an hour. Get the guests there about 20 minutes before that. There's your first hour. 2-hour canapes max, standing around. It's a long time to be standing around with nothing really happening or nothing to do. So that's normally, again, in most people's minds, that's 4 till 6. But if you are doing the 3:30, 4:30, it's kind of 4:30 to 6 is perfect. Then we get into kind of dinner mode, speeches, bridal party entrance. You've gone off for your photos. 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock, call it food time, and call 8 till 10:30, 11, dancing time. Food time is like speeches and everything in there. Do your speeches in 2 blocks if you can. I think it flows better. I think you kind of do the parents and stuff first, and then you do, well, it doesn't matter actually. I don't care which way you do that. But I do think the 2 block things work because that second block works as a way of bringing everybody back together before first dance and stuff like that. I think that's kind of the perfect way of using that as that tool. You kind of go, hey, everybody, we had that first round of speeches, eat some food. Now we're going to gather you all back and go into that second round of speeches. And then that leads into the first dance or the cutting of the cake. I also like the cake cutting first. There's no rules. I would just say that the entire day, you know, is not being too long. Like, you don't go to dinner parties and want them to go for 8 hours. You don't go to, you know, it just, the idea that extensions make the day, I know that people pay a lot for this day, but you also just want it to be awesome. And I don't think that more time makes something better. You know, you'd prefer to have the best 10-day holiday than a month that wasn't that good, you know, like it doesn't seem to do that. And I don't think people hate speeches as much as they think as well. Like, speeches can go on, but you can also guide people and try not to go on too long. And so I think people like having something to be guided into doing. I think the aimless, free-flowing, there's nothing on all day, sometimes are great, but often lead to a bit of aimless. People kind of at 9 o'clock are like, "Are we done? Should I go home? What are we doing?" I do think a good 3:30 for 4 o'clock, 4:30 finish ceremony, 4:30 finish ceremony, canapes till 6, intro at 6-ish, first round of speeches till around 6:30, eat for an hour or so, second round of speeches around 8:30, into first dance, 2.5 hours on the dance floor at most, which means it goes like that the whole time rather than going. It's about perfect. And again, I saw that work once with that after party thing, and my God, it was good. Because imagine that, right? You've got half your guests there that kind of don't want to stay too late, which is just life. I go to bed at 9 o'clock most of the time, if I can. And they were able to kind of get on a bus or get in their own cars and go home. And the rest of the party were able to go somewhere where they were guaranteed to get in. It was already organised. The drinks were flowing. A secondary, they say never go to a secondary location, but I think that's only if you're getting kidnapped or something. I'm not really sure what that's about. But it was so good, and I highly, highly recommend that. And then the late night extension things, again, it depends on what kind of party it is. A lot of people want to kick on late. People get real drunk. Nothing good really ever happens after that extension. And it depends if it's like a druggy wedding or if it's a drinky wedding. Druggy weddings are fun. I have no problem with them. They're a bit lighter. It depends on what's going on. But there's like Chatty Cathy in the corner. And then there's people that are really love in the D floor, and it's all good. It's the boozer weddings that, if they are extended, just become hellscapes like you've never seen. I've been to several weddings this year that I've just been like, I maybe want to quit drinking. It's so embarrassing. Like, seeing people in that state, it's just like, wow. You shouldn't be there. Like, why are we still here? What are we doing? Anyway, that's my thoughts on timelines. Keep it tight. A couple of formalities. 2.5 hours for dancing. You're gonna have a great time. That's my thoughts. And again, there's my thoughts. Again, I finished that saying, there's my thoughts. If you and your crew like to day drink at restaurants and kick on till 1 a.m, well, brilliant. You know your crew better than I do. That's my thoughts. Obviously, time extensions and stuff have, costs involved and that kind of stuff. Anyway, so we've gone through SEO. We've gone through off-season discounts, asking guests for help, timeline thoughts, plan requirement, Blue Wren weddings. What are your thoughts on venues or vendors only working with couples if they have a planner or coordinator? Firstly, I've never heard of this, and I would love it to be a blanket rule because I love working with coordinators because you have a point of contact and somebody's in charge and somebody is overseeing the whole thing. But I've never heard of a venue or a vendor working with a couple if they don't have one. But I can understand why that would be a rule, particularly from a venue that was like, we're not running your day, so somebody needs to be in charge. Can totally understand that. A vendor, it would be my preference to always have, but I'm not going to never not work with somebody that doesn't. It's definitely, I wouldn't say 50-50, but it's probably like 60-40 or 80. I don't know. Nearly all have somebody in charge from a venue perspective, something like that. But I don't know if that's a rule. I'd love to hear more about that because that sounds really interesting. Because that to me says whoever is implementing that rule has had a shit ass time and a really difficult time without having a point of contact, and things got out of hand. You know what? Now I think about it now with the vendor thing. To me, if I could implement that rule, it would be for private properties, specifically because that later night thing. I've been in situations where it's just me with like the bar staff's gone, caterers are cleaned up and gone, and it's me and 100 people, with no point of contact, no safety net, no one to help me out, no one to flick the lights, no one to turn off the generator, and like that's a stressful position to be in. So, I wish I could have implemented that rule on that night, but I don't. And I could handle it, but yeah, I can see why that exists. But I'd love to hear more on that, that's for sure. From my man at Awkward Soul Films, what's been your biggest hurdle in the wedding industry and the biggest lesson from it? Biggest hurdle. Well, definitely, setting up the new company was a big one. The rebrand was a big call because we'd spent 5 years setting up the old brand down here. So to to sell that and then do it again was a massive hurdle. And then, yeah, I just think dealing with the ebbs and flows of owning a small business and your own kind of stresses about, am I doing it right? I guess that's the hurdle. Like, there is no one showing you really how to do it. It's not like you go to university and come out with the training or like a paramedic would. So you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. And the only way you know you're doing it right is if you keep getting booked and you keep getting 5-star reviews and blah, blah, blah. So the biggest hurdle, I think, is getting out of your own head for me, and kind of just knowing that it was going well. And then, yeah, the rebrand. And the biggest lesson from all of it is just fucking do a good job. Like, just be good. I mean, you can't force this upon, you can't get booked if you're not good at what you're doing. So the biggest lesson is always really care, really give a shit about everything, about your systems, the back end system, realizing that it's people's big day and they're going to have their own thoughts. You are providing a service for people that are kind of getting what they want. You can't demand that they do things a certain way as much as you'd like to. But fundamentally, once you have all those conditions, met and all that information, just doing a good job, really care, really give a shit. It's somebody's big day and they're paying a lot of money for the whole day, if not just for you, if whatever. So really give a shit, go above and beyond and do a good job, and you'll keep getting booked and everything will be all right. That would be my thoughts on that, which I hope help. From Love and Thunder, my man here. What's your most hated song to play? Wow. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I could split this into two things, really. I'd say my most hated songs to play at the moment are the ones, I mean, if you've got there's one song by Alex Warren called Ordinary, and I think it's a great song, but it's so hard to sing because he goes from really low to really, really high. And he also has this giant choir effect kind of on the track. And I think my version of it is a bit of a floppy, it's a bit of an underwhelm. And I've tried really hard to kind of make it, and it's just not what people want. So I would say that's at the moment is my most hated song to attempt. That and anything from Dan and Shay, because Dan and Shay is so good at singing that, again, it's that underwhelm thing. I have to bring it down like 10 keys to get it, into my vocal zone. But I actually love all the songs by both those people. I just think they're particularly difficult. It's funny, we get these requests sometimes that come in for all of our singers, and they're just like, so can you just do it just like this? And then you hear like one of the best singers in history doing something amazing, and you're like, yeah, cool, I'll just do that. You know what I mean? I'm a wedding singer in Tasmania, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, sure, I'll just do that, It's just, we all try. But it's the male vocal thing at the moment, to go from real low to real high, is a very good skill, and it's very impressive, and it makes my life very difficult. Hated songs beyond that, I mean, I'm not a massive pub rock fan. I don't like the cliche stuff too much. So anything that you're going to hear in a pub on a Friday at 11 p.m, I don't like to put that really into the acoustic sets, because I don't really think that's what people are there for at that time. They want more of a vibe and a bit more atmos and a bit more niche and unique vibes. But I do know all those songs, but I don't have a hated song. DJ wise, God, anything that ruins, I mean, again, I don't love the pub rock songs. I feel like a lot of good music is out there, but I mean, they always crush, don't they? So you finish with them. I don't love Love Shack, Marty. If I'm being honest, mate, I don't love Love Shack. I do find it a bit obvious, but I get why people like it, and it serves a purpose, and I'm there to do a job. So I'm going to hit play on it. But I do love when I see a DJ brief that comes in and it's like modern and interesting and cool and unique and really broad, and it's going from like Where Is My Husband into Fred Again into, Come and Get Your Love from the 70s into Stevie Wonder. I'm like, okay, now I've got my work cut out for me. When I see the brief and it's just the same old, Sweet Caroline into Eagle Rock into Thingo, it's like, well, Spotify could have done this. But no hate. I also, one of my biggest hates, I guess, is more people that come up. I hate any song that when it's working and going great, and there's one person, and you know who you are, person, you're definitely not listening to this podcast, that comes up and goes, can you completely change the vibe and the energy for me? I cannot stand that. I do not understand how the person has the balls to do that, or the person has the desire to do that. Like, go home and listen to whatever song you want to listen to. Like, I just don't quite understand. And again, we all know who I'm talking about, but I don't understand the mentality of like, here's 50 people going nuts to, let's say, Dua Lipa or something, right? Going berserk, having the time of their life, and somebody's just coming up to me, just going, hey, can you do like some akadaka, mate? And I'm just like, can you die in a hole? Like, I could, but this is going great. Like, why would you want that? It's not for you, That's my most hated song to play, that whatever that person asks for. And the craziest thing is, I have the power, I've learnt. I have the power of the volume. So if people come up and annoy me and know this, I will do this, and I have done it, and people have seen it. If they don't leave me alone with the request, I cut. And people look at me, they turn around and they go, I've only done it like 3 times ever, but they turn around and they go, are you serious, man? What's wrong with you, Mr. DJ? And then they see Aunt Sassy giving me grief in my ear, and I just go, get her out, get her out, get her out, and then get her out, and the song comes back. And it's like, I always have the power to do that. So, if I don't understand somebody that wants a request that's going to kill the vibe, completely change everything, and make the night worse. So that's my most hated song to play. And know that I will do it. Okay, well, I feel like we're kind of getting to the end. There are more questions. Venue versus private wedding coordinator. What's the difference between having a venue run your wedding day versus hiring a coordinator? A venue probably gives you less choice, but they probably have a real tight ship, and it's awesome. Less to think about. Probably more flexibility with a coordinator, but probably more to think about, more moving parts. Coordinators are awesome. Venues are awesome. Both have their pros and cons. Use both. Love it. Use both. I've done timeline. I've done asking guests. I've done off-season discounts. I've done SEO. I've done hurdles. I've done my favourite venue coordinator and venue. Yeah, I know. Well, I love you. And yes, you are. MCs. Don't need to be funny. DJ knickknacks. Bring it on. The more life-size printouts, the better. Hated songs. Funny. All right, let's finish with this. From Emma, what's the wildest wedding stories? Right. I mean, I've seen it all. I've seen chaos. I've seen fights. I've seen ambulances for people passing out in the heat. I've seen ambulances for people passing out in the cold. I have seen someone cut their wedding dress off halfway through the night because it was filthy and covered in mud at the moment, and it was awesome, and it was the best photos ever. I have seen people just smashing drugs, trying to do them off my DJ thing. I've seen people do 4 shots in a row and then vomit in the corner. I have seen fights. I've seen couples leave because they're not vibing. I mean, try and have a nice time. There was just one a couple of years ago that was like an ex-prison guy, and no one wanted to be there. It was the weirdest day, and everyone was feeling very uncomfortable. All the vendors were in the venue, and it was just all getting a bit out of hand. Some guy got his knob out on the 360 camera thing and smashed it, I think. And everyone was kind of like it was just getting out of hand. 100 and something people. Groom had left at like 9 o'clock, had no interest in being there. Really odd. I went out to the bus driver. I remember it was about 45 minutes early, and I went out, and he was thankfully there. I was like, "You good to go if I sort this out?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I just got on the mic. I was like, "Thanks very much, everyone." And because the groom wasn't there, and I don't know if the bride was having a good time, I just kind of made them all leave because it was really awful and awkward, and things getting broken. And when knobs are out, I mean, what are we doing, guys? Come on. I've seen that. Couples that don't want to be there. Oh, I had a guy that tried to fight me because I didn't play Horses as the last song, and it was at Valleyfield. It was so funny because at Valleyfield, you're upstairs on this balcony, and people don't really know how to get into it, but the bus was literally leaving. He's meant to be on the bus. And he was so angry that I didn't do Horses, even though they told me not to do Horses, that he found his way up and tried to kick the door in. And he called me some very, very nasty words. Because I didn't play the song Horses by Daryl Braithwaite, which had been released 32 years prior, probably before this bloke had been born. And I was like, you'll be right, mate. And I don't know if he was right. I don't have proof of that. But that was a fun one. Oh, one of the craziest things I've really ever seen was a bride halfway down the aisle. It was very football themed, which again is an odd place to start from. But she essentially walked down the aisle in a Collingwood scarf, got to the part, like to the chairs, and then switched scarf, and somebody came out of the crowd with the husband's team scarf, which I think was North Melbourne or something. So she switched allegiances halfway down. It was like some kind of Games of Thrones scene of like switching side. It was bizarre. Laura and I were there playing. I was just like, what the fuck is happening? What's going on? Why has she stopped? Why has she stopped? Why is she changing a scarf? Why is she wearing a scarf? What's it? It was one of those. That was a funny one. That night too, there was one of the groomsmen gifted his new father-in-law a song, but hadn't planned it and sang it completely out of key and out of time. And he just, like, I wish I could gift people a song. I'm literally a professional singer. That's my job. I've never gifted somebody a song. I was just like, wow, you're a bit broke, mate. Like, this is a new one. Imagine that. Like, in a way where you could just be like, you're not a singer, you haven't planned it, and you go, well, I just want to give you something, and it's the gift of my song. And he's like, I just prefer if you could just chuck 100 into the wishing well, that'd be cool. And he's like, no, here's my song. My gift is my song. So it's a bit of that. I've seen the wishing well get stolen. That was weird because people started accusing some of the staff and the vendors and the bar staff and stuff, and it was just like, it was just some cousin or something. You just got a bit loopy and plugged it. Yeah, I've seen it all. I've seen good times. I've seen bad times. I've seen weddings that I never wanted to end, and I've seen weddings that I've never wanted to start. So I love it. I love my job. I love this podcast. I mean, I hope we're having fun. I hope this has been of entertainment, some kind of entertainment, some kind of use to you. Always let me know and send through any more questions that you have. But thanks so much as always for tuning in. And we'll be back, obviously, probably around May with heaps more episodes, but it's really fun. And check it out on the Ring It On podcast, exosounds.co on Instagram. Send questions. Have a good time. Enjoy your wedding. Be a nice person. Everything's going to be all right. Cheers.